January is without doubt one of the hardest times of the year to garden in Australia, not only because of the heat, but because of the fact that so many of us like to take a little bit of a break and a bit of a holiday, and therefore we leave our gardens, and there's not always as much opportunity to look after them, and as a result then things tend to go a bit awry. But if you want a really productive garden, and sometimes you don't always need to look after it, let's take a look at some of the really good things that we can be doing in our garden in January. Alrighty, so one of the big plants and one of the main ones we want to be doing is lettuce. Lettuce grows really easily in January, and it doesn't take that long to mature into a really good crop that we can take into the kitchen. So you want to be, most people tend to buy them as seedlings from the hardware stores or whatever, and they don't cost that much. Space them out roughly 20 or so centimeters. You want to be looking at using fairly well drained soil, and you do need to feed them at least once a week or so with a good liquid fertilizer. Bear in mind with pests and so on, I like to use eco neem oil, which is an organic oil which is going to help keep the bugs away. And that's really important. We do tend to have a lot of locusts and stuff like that in Australia, and that's a bit of a shame because they can decimate crops. If you're going to grow lettuce in pots, they don't actually need to be particularly big ones. They need preferably self-watering pots, so the ones that do retain a bit of water in the bottom of them, and they only need to be roughly 15 or so centimeters deep. Lettuces don't tend to have massive root structure. Okay, radishes are another really good one, and you can plant them quite densely. You can plant them roughly 5 centimeters or so apart. Again, they like a nice free draining soil. They do like to be kept fairly moist, and they do like mulch. So mulch with lettuce as well, and you want to be using things like lucerne hay or pea straw, that kind of stuff. And you can get that quite cheaply. You don't have to go through hardware stores. You can look at places like Gumtree and so on. But and you can usually find farmers and stuff like that that'll sell bales of it quite cheaply. So there we go, guys. A couple of little tips there. Silver beet is another really good one to be planting in January. It tends to like a fairly well composted soil. So nutrient dense is a really good one, and also we need to be looking at being very cautious of slugs and snails and other garden pests. So use your eco neem. If you're going to be looking at using plant pots, you want to go for a fairly sort of medium depth plant pot. So something around 15 or so to 20 centimeters deep is what you want to be looking at. To mitigate some of the risks of pests and slugs and snails and so on, try and plant in sort of bunches, I suppose. So with silver beet or with the other plants as well, if you've got room in your garden, then try and spread them out as much as you can. So your little bunches of say 3 or 4 plants, and then a bit further down your garden you might have some other ones. And that way that if you do get struck in one area, it doesn't necessarily affect your whole crop. So when we're looking at harvesting in January, things like cucumbers are another really good one to be looking at harvesting. Also tomatoes, and you'll find your tomato crops will keep going. As you notice the plants tending to die off, then obviously replant, because you'll find you can grow tomatoes quite well in Australia for a good sort of 6-7 months of the year. And artichokes are the other one for harvesting in January. So look, guys, January can be a really productive month in the garden if you plan your garden well, and it does take a bit of effort and it does take a bit of experience and knowledge to do that. I understand that, but once you're starting to get into the rhythm of gardening, then you'll find that the whole year can be quite a long, very productive year, and you can keep going with getting a lot out of your garden. You shouldn't sort of have too many periods of time when you're just sort of sitting around looking for something to do. So there we go, guys. And don't forget to all of the stuff that you sort of get from your garden in terms of waste, so your grass clippings and your prunings and all that sort of stuff, most of that can be composted as well. So there's lots and lots and lots of things you can be doing in January. A fantastic time of year. Righto guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your time and patience. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and I'll catch you in my next video.